Tron to save the day.
What kind of childhood memories does Tron bring back for you guys personally, and why approach it now? What was the right time?
Well, my memory of Tron was that it was a completely unique look, and was like nothing else out there. So the uniqueness of Tron always stuck with me, and it was important to me that this film also look like nothing else out there. So it's kind of what drew me to the project in the first place.
When we first sat down to think about, should this title be reapproached, how would we reapproach it, there were kind of three things we felt we had to do. One was, how do we get this, in a tip of the hat to 82, how do we get the screen to look unlike anything it had looked like before, as those guys did do in 82. That was an ambition of ours. Felt we owed that, and we felt we owed Jeff Bridges and the light cycle. And so we kind of started there. It was really the basic building blocks of, now let's see if we can go make a movie out of that.
What kind of elements are you bringing from the original to updating to this? Are you bringing like the disc throwing, all that fun stuff that made the video game so awesome?
Yeah, I mean, all of the kind of iconic vehicles and gladiatorial games of the original, we're updating those. So the idea is that, the world has evolved. 21 years have passed since Kevin Flynn disappeared. 28 years have passed since we saw the original world of Tron, and it's kind of sat on a server, evolving on its own, disconnected from the universe. So it's the simulation has continued to refine itself. It's become much more realistic, much more dangerous, darker, but all those kind of things you remember from the first film are all been updated and gone through generational improvements. So you'll see a little bit of everything from that first film.
Now you say darker, and I heard you talking a little bit. Would you guys, are you as PG-13? What would you personally, as filmmakers, want to go for?
Well, I would say when we were creating the movie, we were never really thinking about what rating. We were never aiming for a rating. We were doing we were serving the story in the way that it needed to be told. So rating hasn't been something we've talked about. So it's just not been an issue. I think it'll probably be a PG movie, but it's got to be exciting and visceral and intense.
It's definitely, I think, pushing. It's pushing for the Disney label. It's a movie that the father and his 8-year-old son should be equally excited to see. It's a movie that really is meant to excite, across the ages.
Back in '82, this was something new and something refreshing. How do you approach something like this just on a technical level? How challenging is that?
It was a huge challenge. We had a mandate to push the envelope because of the title. We felt we owed that. So we tackled a number of different technologies simultaneously. The first one that everyone knows about is shooting in 3D, which is a tremendous technical kind of hurdle to overcome, the size of the cameras. We also developed our own 3D camera just for this film, using brand new technology, so it looks different than any other 3D film. We've got technologies in kind of all areas of the film, some stuff we can't really talk about right now, but we are pushing the envelope, and we're going to be very busy over the next 18 months kind of making it all come together.
I would say we did feel we had to be ambitious based on what those guys did in '82, and so we were ambitious. I think not only in terms of the technology, but in terms of the story. I think this movie is, we like to call it a standalone sequel, and that you only have to see this movie. You don't have to have seen the original. But I think rather than saying, well, let's just remake it or take the title and do something completely different, we said, let's accept that '82 occurred. Let's continue that narrative all the way through. We mapped a narrative from '82 to 2010. And this movie picks up with where we find ourselves in 2010. So I like to think that the ambition that we went after would not only apply to the technology and the look, but also to what we try to do with the story.
You hear a lot of filmmakers when they're doing a film like this, when Jon Favreau's talking about doing Iron Man 2, he's already talking DVD. Do you think that far ahead, especially obviously there's a lot of ideas that could come with this video games, whatever. Do you think about that, or is that kind of leaving it with Disney on that?
I think we do. I mean, I personally believe in that the greatest experiences I've had recently are when the whole world feels consistent. When I play the video game and it feels like the people who made the video game we're really closely tied, or the same people who made the movie. And when I read the graphic novel, it all feels like it's of the same universe. It's from the same kind of creative team because it feels remarkably consistent and whole and true. And I think it's done very rarely. I think it's something that we with this certainly would like to achieve.
Obviously, you got Jeff Bridges, which is a major coup. What about the rest of the cast? What were you looking for to make the story complete and make it feel, like a continuation of Tron?
Well, we, the main role of Sam Flynn was something we searched far and wide. We weren't concerned about getting a name or a movie star for the role. We wanted to find the right person for the role, and we looked at hundreds and hundreds of people over a series of months, and we found this guy Garrett Hedlund. Not that we found him; he's done a couple films before this, but he really just kind of exemplified all the qualities we needed Sam Flynn to have. I mean, to play Kevin Flynn's son is kind of a tricky thing. You have to have that kind of combination of smarts and charisma, and Garrett kind of had all that. So we're really happy with how he did. It was a really physically challenging role, and he did an amazing job. And Olivia Wilde was another role another role in the film that we kind of looked at a lot of different actresses for, and she got the movie. She understood it right from the beginning, and just kind of really kind of personified all the kind of qualities we needed her character to have. So we feel like we got a great cast, and obviously, like you said, Jeff Bridges was the first piece of that puzzle, and I don't see how we could have done this movie without him. So.
And he doesn't just play one part either, so we got the benefit of Jeff a couple times.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Approaching a film about a video game, basically, it seemed like a challenge back then, obviously, but now there's so many other movies that are coming from graphic novels. What else? How do you make something like this original and different? Yet it's still a sequel, so it's not completely original. I mean, right. I know the Tron Legacy is a name. Yep. How do you move forward and tell an interesting story within the bounds of the special effects?
Well, Sean and I, neither of us were interested in making a movie about technology. This is a father-son story, and that's the core of our film. And all the technology that we're throwing at it is simply to serve that kind of core story. So we approached it from that, that was our first kind of point of view, was we're going to tell a good father-son story, and everything else will serve that story. And that's proven to be the best way to kind of approach it. What
sequence that you can tell us is just, maybe you could give us a little hint of what's going to blow us away?
Well, I think the light cycle match in the movie is I think that teaser we did last year is a sliver, a little glimpse, but I think that sequence in the movie is going to be pretty fun.
How much more difficult is this? Obviously, this is not just a case of shooting the film, editing it, putting it together. This is a case of kind of tinkering into a film. What has been the challenges of that, and what's been kind of cool about that?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. It's a very tedious process, like you said. You have to have a lot of patience, and you have to have a very acute attention to detail to make sure everything is right. So it's a slow process, but the reward is that you can create places that you simply can't film. You can create a world that doesn't exist, and that's what's exciting about it for me.
I think it's nice when we get to see a glimmer of what it's ultimately going to be. It's pretty cool because, as I said, the ambition was, how do we try to create something that looks unlike anything anybody's ever seen? And with the tools and a lot of hard work, hopefully we'll be able to do it.